Well, good evening, everybody. Well, as you all know, Kirk Pendergrass has been bragging that Field McConnell is going to plead no contest to the charges against him rather than not guilty. He claimed that Kim Bacasio had been reporting that Field McConnell was going to be pleading guilty, and Kirk says that he is going to be instead playing no contest. Now, first of all, there has been no reporting by Kim Bacasio regarding this matter. Kim Bacasio hasn't commented on anything having to do with the hearing on the 13th of September. I am the one that reported that there was going to be a hearing on the 13th of September and that it had to do with a change of plea. Now, if anybody got the impression that Field McConnell was going to plead guilty, it came from me because I made the assumption that he was going to plead guilty. Now, it has not come out exactly how Field McConnell is going to plead in court. So I don't know where Kirk Pendergrass got his information from unless he got it from Field McConnell himself. Now, the high command also reported that Kim Picasio reported the uh, fact that Field McConnell was going to put in a plea of Nolo Contendere, or, no contest rather than guilty. And I have seen no public post anywhere where Kim Picasio has reported, commented, or otherwise indicated that Field McConnell was going to plead guilty of the charges against him. Now, I did say there myself that he was going to plead because I thought a specific charge of no contest, not, he was going to change his plea from guilty to not guilty. So that one's on me. However, there's a couple things here. First of all, I don't think Kirk Pendergrass understands what Nolo Contendere is and what it is not. Nolo Contendere is a plea of no contest. The exact translation of it is I do not contest. So Kirk Pendergrass got the translation wrong. But Nolo Contendere is not a not guilty plea. It is saying, look, I'm not going to contest the charge. It's up to the judge to decide, because ultimately the judge will decide. Now, I don't know if anybody out there has ever gotten a traffic ticket or gotten charged with a minor criminal violation or something along those lines. But a Nolo Contendere charge, or plea, I should say, if you make it to a judge, is basically saying that, Judge, I'm leaving it up to you. You decide if I'm guilty or not. And so this is where we stand on that. And this is from a criminal law expert that I looked up. And Rule 3.172, acceptance of guilty or Nolo Contendere plea. Voluntariness, factual basis. Before accepting a plea of guilty or Nolo Contendere, the trial judge shall determine that the plea is voluntarily entered and a factual basis for the plea exists. Counsel for the prosecution and the defense shall assist the judge in this function. All pleas will be in open court. And it goes on, there's determination and so forth. But now, acknowledgement by the defendant. Before the judge accepts a guilty or Nolo Contendere plea, the judge must determine that the defendant either, one, acknowledges his or her guilt, or two, acknowledges that he or she feels the plea to be in his best interest while maintaining his or her interest. Now, again, a Nolo Con is a guilty plea. He is not contesting the charge. He is simply saying, I am not going to fight the charge. And in legal legal circles, a Nolo is considered a guilty plea. The judge makes a determination, number one, if he's going to accept a Nolo plea, and number two, what the punishment is going to be. Now, there is a report that conditions have been presented to the court having to do with whether or not Kim Bacasio is going to accept the plea. See, Kim Bacasio can say, no, I'm not going to settle for a plea deal. I want this to go to trial. And the whole thing goes out the window. And something about Kirk Pendergrass may result in that. See, Kirk Pendergrass is saying he has foreknowledge of this case, that he knows where Field McConnell is going in this plea agreement that is coming out in September. Now, if Kirk Pendergrass declares that he knows where Field McConnell is going on the plea, that means that Kirk Pendergrass has inside non-public information from one of the parties in the case as to how this is going to go. Now, two people are not going to be happy if this is the case. The number one person that's not going to be happy is the judge. The proceeding is not a matter of public record. A determination of plea has not been made. A decision of the judge has not been made. So the fact that this information is getting out, that Kirk Pendergrass is 100% positive that Field McConnell is going to enter a no contest, may cause the judge say, oh, let's hold on here. We got somebody leaking information to outside parties as to how this defendant is going to plead. And this is not public information. There's been nothing filed anywhere that says this person is definitely going to plead no contest to this. I may put a hold on this deal and not approve it until we straighten this thing out. The other person that might not be too happy about this is none other than Kim Bacasio. Because Kim Bacasio has the right to sign off or strike this deal down. She can say, hold on, everybody's running around giving out private information that we all agreed with. The defense agreed, the prosecution agreed, she agreed, so on and so forth, that the information about the plea in this case is not going to be disclosed to the public before the hearing. Now, all of a sudden, we got people running around like they know it all and saying, oh, Field McConnell is definitely going to plead no contest to this charge. This puts everybody in a rather bad position because the judge is going to want to know how this information got out. Who told Kirk Pendergrass that Field McConnell was going to plead no contest? Did Field McConnell tell Kirk Pendergrass? Did the lawyer for Field McConnell tell Kirk Pendergrass? Or did somebody else? Or is more likely the case, did Kirk Pendergrass make this stuff up out of thin air? Now, here's the thing. Again, Nolo Contendere is not a not guilty charge. It is a form of guilt, because what the defendant is saying is saying, look, judge, I don't contest the charge. I leave it up to you to decide. You look at the evidence, you make a decision. The judge is going to look at the evidence, and he or she is going to make a decision. And more than likely, that decision is going to be a charge of guilt. Now, generally what happens is the defense and prosecution come to the judge and say, Judge, this is what we agreed on. We agreed that Field McConnell is going to plead to whatever he's going to plead, and these are the conditions on which Mrs. Bacasio is going to accept the plea deal. Now, it's up to you, Judge, what is going to be saying. So Kirk Pendergrass got wrong that Kim Bocasio was going to plead no contest. Kim Bocasio doesn't enter any kind of a plea. She is the victim of the alleged crime. There's no plea to make. She doesn't plead guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere. That's not how it works. It falls on the alleged defendant to make the plea. He pleads either guilty, not guilty, or nolo contendere. That's it. This Kirk Pendergrass has this whole thing completely wrong, as he has on everything else. You know, he pretends to be an expert on the law. He knows no more about the law than I do. I don't profess to be an expert. I base it on my personal research and contacts within the Broward County Courthouse to what I report. And this, this slide actually came from the state of Florida. They have a website where they go through different legal terms, and in this case, it was Nolo Contendere, and I thoroughly read it, and it basically says that it's no contest. Pleading no contest means you accept the punishments of a guilty plea without admitting guilt. This is the important part I just alerted to. No contest does not mean that you're not guilty. No contest does not mean that the charges are going to be dismissed. You are pleading an alternative plea of guilt. And all this does is it shields you in some way, if you're the defendant, from civil liability and so on and so forth. And then the offered plea goes along with this because you're pleading guilty by claiming you're innocent. Both pleas result in a conviction because you may claim, well, I'm innocent, but I'm pleading no contest. The judge is going to plea you out as guilty or sentence you as guilty if the evidence is there. And the evidence is there. There's a mountain of it. And again, in this case where Field McConnell may put up a nolo con plea, he is going to have to abide by whatever conditions that has been negotiated between the defense, the prosecution, and Kim Bocasio, as well as what the judge decides. Now, the pros of this plea cannot be used as evidence against you in another case or for other charges. Another pro is you may pay less in legal fees by avoiding court. Now, the important thing to remember here is that Field McConnell is not paying his legal fees. His son is. So this is going to help his son out because I can guarantee you there's a boatload of money being paid out for his defense. A judge or jury may pass down a less severe sentence than they would if a defendant pleads not guilty and is found guilty. So, another pro of this that's not mentioned here is this may not even go to trial. There's going to be an offer. There's going to be a hearing in court. The judge is going to rule, and that's going to be the end of the case. Now, the con. Defendants risk suffering criminal punishments despite their innocence. Sentencing is up to the judge, as I have said repeatedly. Some states have mandatory minimum sentence for certain crimes that can't be avoided by pleading nolo contendere. Okay, now let me go over here. Yeah. Rebecca, that's true. Field McConnell has more problems down the road. Now, it's like I have said several times before. Other jurisdictions that have a gripe legally with Field McConnell have been sitting on their hands waiting for Florida to conclude its case. Once the state of Florida concludes its case, then the other jurisdictions, such as the state of Wisconsin and the state of Colorado, can pursue their own investigation and possible trials if it comes about. Any charges, will he go to trial, so on and so forth. So Field is by no means off the hook. So, basically, we're looking at, this is the 28th of August, we're looking at the 13th of September, that Field McConnell is going to go on trial, or is going to go to this hearing, and then we will all know, Kirk, me, and the rest of you, what he pleads. But again, even if he pleads Nolo, it's still a guilty plea, sort of. The 99 and 9/10% of the time, courts will go along with a Nolo and say, okay, I am finding you guilty of the charges. I understand that both the defense and the prosecution have put before the court the conditions under which you are pleading no contest. And he's going to explain to Field what happens because he pled no contest. He's going to go down through and ask Field a bunch of questions like, did anybody coerce you into making this plea? Do you understand what is going to happen if you take this plea? Has your counsel explained to you what the result of this plea may be, so on and so on and so on. And if Field McConnell answers correctly, the judge is going to accept the conditions of the plea. And I can guarantee you that it is probably likely that Kim Bocasio has set down very severe conditions where she will allow Field to plead Nolo. And because she is a victim, she could make a victim statement in court or put forth a written statement to the court of how she feels about this plea, why she agreed to it, and what the conditions are of the plea. So Kirk Pendergrass should not get in a position to where he pisses Kim Bocasio off, because Kim Bocasio can walk into the court and in legal jargon say, Field McConnell can stick his plea deal up his ass because I'm not going to accept it. I want this to go forward. Or if Your Honor, you accept this plea deal, I want the most severe punishment that you can eke out to Field McConnell. And the other alternative is the defense could say to Field McConnell, well, it looks like your buddy, Kirk Pendergrass, screwed everything up. So now we're going to have to go on trial. So you're going to have to withdraw your Nolo Con, maintain your not guilty plea, and we are going to have to go to trial because Kirk Pendergrass has screwed this whole thing up. So these are the possibilities here. I don't know what is going to happen on the 13th. I make a guess like everybody else. I made the assumption that Field McConnell was going to plead guilty and that there were going to be conditions set upon this plea. Now, if he goes ahead and pleads no contest or Nolo Contendere, that's a mouthful, then yeah, Field McConnell, Kirk Pendergrass might be partly right, but the problem is, Kirk Pendergrass got Nolo Contendere completely wrong. It is not a not guilty plea. It's exactly what it says. I do not contend. This other thing that he put out there is wrong. He apparently didn't take Latin. I doubt he even graduated high school. That's my opinion, of course. It's not fact. But, he knows no more about law than I do. I base my comments here on research into actual law from lawyers that practice law, that know what Nolo is, just like the lawyer that is defending Field McConnell. The other charges, well, again, there's 3 charges here or 3 pleas, I should say. Field McConnell can plead not guilty. He can say, look, I'm not guilty of this. I didn't do this. You people are full of it. I'm going to fight. I'm going to want a jury trial or a bench trial, but more than likely a jury trial, and I want to prove my innocence. The second charge is that he pleads guilty. He says, yep, I did it. Sorry about that. Judge, I throw myself on the mercy of the court. The number 3 charge that we are discussing here is Nolo Contendere, or no contest. And it basically means I do not contest. That means I am not going to fight the charge. I leave it up to the judge to decide if I am guilty or not. And the judge will look things and he says, usually the hearing goes something like this. The judge comes in, he says, I have read the briefs by the defense, the prosecution. I have read the statement from the victim in this case, Kim Picasso, and this is how I'm going to rule. Field McConnell, I adjudicate you guilty of the charges before this court. And this is what's going to happen based on the negotiation that has happened between you and your attorney and the prosecution. All the terms that are in that agreement, I will accept. And then he will go out. He will then say, this is what you agreed to. The defense has agreed to A, B, C, and D. The prosecution has agreed to A, B, C, and D. The victim in this case, Kim Picasso, has agreed to A, B, C, and D. And as long as all 3 parties agree, and as long as all these conditions are met, I will adjudicate the following. And then he will decide whether or not there's going to be any criminal or any incarceration. He's going to decide if there's going to be any probation, the length of that probation. He's going to make a decision on if there's any restrictions, like what was in the original restraining order. And it is more likely than not, and it's almost a certainty, that Field McConnell will have to continue to abide by the conditions under which brought all this about in the first place. He is going to have to comply with the restraining order. And we all know what the restraining order says. There is no getting out of that. He can't just walk away, well, shoot, I can go back on the air and I can start threatening her all over again. No, he can't do that. The same restrictions that got him into the Florida court is still there. They're permanent. He can't get out of them. That's quite correct. Smirky Kirky got it wrong again. Because Nolo Contendere in a plea and no contest is the exact same thing. That's what I will not contend means. It means no contest. I'm pleading Nolo Contendere, and there is no plea by Kim. A victim in a crime does not make a plea. They're the ones that filed the complaint in the first place. She can withdraw the complaint, but she can't, there's no plea of non-contest here. It's Field McConnell is the one that filed or is going to file this no contest plea, period. Smirky Kirky doesn't know his ass from the hole in the ground when it comes to law. The guy needs to stick to fixing cars. And, this is the problem with these people. They run around with these official-looking websites quoting the Cornell law books without understanding what they're talking about, and so on. And that is a perfect example. Spiro Agnew. Spiro Agnew filed a Nolo Con. He had to resign as vice president of the United States. That's how Gerald Ford became vice president, is because Spiro Agnew was forced to resign. And this is a perfect example of it. When you file no contest, you're throwing yourself on the mercy of the court. And, it's the same thing as Nolo Contendere. It's just Nolo Contendere is the legal term for I plead no contest. I do not contest is the specific translation from Latin of that term. I don't know where Kirk Pendergrass got his translation. That no controversy has nothing to do with that. It's specific. How does Kirk come up with that nonsense? He pulls it out of his ass. Is how he comes up with it. The guy doesn't know his ass in the hole in the ground. That's what got Tim Holmseth on the run to begin with, is people like Kirk Pendergrass getting into this sovereign citizen shit. It's what got Chris Hallett murdered, is because Chris Hallett ran around saying he was an expert on the law and he was filing all these things with the court that Randy likes to brag about. And Neely Blanchard found out that he didn't know his ass in the hole in the ground, and he was actually working against her, so she murdered him, executed him. These people are playing some pretty dangerous games out there when they get involved in these cases. It's hard to say if he was or not. He better hope that he made it up and that he isn't being fed information by Field McConnell or anyone around Field McConnell, because the judge is going to wonder where the hell all this information is coming from. And, Kim Bocasio might get pissed off about it because she doesn't like Kirk Pendergrass to begin with, and she can march into the court and, and saying, Your Honor, we all agreed, the defense, me, and the prosecution, that none of this was going to come out until the hearing on the 13th. Now, all of a sudden, we got this guy up in Idaho that's blurting that Field McConnell's going to take a Nolo Con. I want out of the deal. And if Kim Bocasio says no, it's off the table. The prosecution will say, well, my victim says she will not accept a plea deal, so we have to withdraw it. And that puts everybody back to square one. The case goes to trial, and Field McConnell faces a jury of his peers. This is a risk that's being taken here by Kirk Pendergrass by getting his nose stuck in this case. Because when these deals are made, when the prosecution sits down with the defense and any potential victim in the case and say, okay, this is what we come up with, the very first thing that is said, don't tell anybody about it. Keep your mouth shut. Don't tell friends. Don't go on the internet and say, Field McConnell's going to plead no contest to this deal, or he's going to plead guilty, or he's going to do this, or he's going to do that, and this is the terms. Judges don't like that. The prosecution doesn't like it, and the victim wouldn't like it. So if somebody around Field McConnell or Field McConnell himself is running around saying, oh, I'm getting out of this, I'm going to plead no contest and blah, 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 it could blow this whole thing out of the water. Kirk Pendergrass just may have screwed Field McConnell. Because if Kim Picasio gets pissed off enough, and she has a fierce temper, believe me, she'll walk into that courtroom and she'll say, "Screw this, Your Honor. I will not accept a plea deal from Field McConnell. I want him to go to trial." And the judge will throw up his hands or her hands and say, "Well, I don't have a. There's nothing I can do. If the victim in this case will not accept the plea, then we have to go to trial." And so that's another alternative. Uh, you know, Kirk better cross his fingers and hope that Kim Picasio doesn't get pissed off. Because Kim Picasio could throw this whole thing out the window. She's a lawyer. She's also a victim. So she knows that if she gets mad enough, she can walk in that courthouse and say, "Damn it, no. This information is getting out all over the information after I told everybody not to talk about it. The prosecution said not to talk about it. Field McConnell agreed not to talk about it to anybody outside of the court. This was to remain confidential between all the parties." So if I were Kirk Prendergast, number one, I would shut up about it. I would just go on and talk about some other theory, or maybe talk about how such a big shot he is with the Bundy case or something else. He needs to get his ass out of the case. Now, I'm not going to say that I know anything about this case. I'm not going to be stupid enough to come on here and say, "Oh yeah, this is what's going on. This is what Field's going to do," because I don't know. And if I did, I wouldn't tell anybody, because that's interfering in a case. That's exactly what is going on here. Kirk Pendergrass is interfering with this case. And Pete, it doesn't matter who told Kirk Pendergrass to put this out there. The fact that it's out there and Kirk Pendergrass put it out there is creating a potential problem with this case. Because, again, if the prosecution gets pissed off, or if Kim Picasio gets pissed off, or the judge gets pissed off, this whole deal has just gone down the toilet. And Kirk Pendergrass is the person who would have flushed it there. Because that's the number one big thing that pisses a judge off, is when people start running around and giving out details of this trial or any trial that's not supposed to be made public. This isn't even on the record yet. And if people had done their research, this case in January was switched over to the criminal court, and Judge Hunter Davis, I believe, is the judge in this case, and he knows everybody involved in this case. And the problem here is the judge may have an idea about Field McConnell's past, and he's read the evidence as part of his duty as a judge. He's gone through a lot of material. There's been pre-trial hearings and all this stuff since January. Judge Davis is no one to fool around with. And if Judge Davis gets pissed off enough, there's going to be a problem. So Kirk Prendergrass has shown that he's a complete moron. You don't blab. If you know confidential information about a case, thank you, Fern, by the way, I appreciate that. Because officers of the court are sticklers for procedure. They want things to go by the book, line by line by line by line. And in a situation where the parties to the case have negotiated an agreement, especially a plea deal, the judge wants this stuff kept between the appropriate parties, the prosecution, the defense, the judge, and the victim. Period. Nobody should be going around talking to friends, associations, associates, people on blogs, their network connections, or any of that. They should be in the house, private, until 9 o'clock Monday morning, September 13th, 2021. So, Field McConnell and Kirk Pendergrass better pray that the judge doesn't get pissed off and Kim Casio doesn't get pissed off about this information getting out, because this could blow the whole deal. If it wasn't for TCH bringing Field McConnell into this mess, Field McConnell would be doing what he's doing prior to Timmy showing up at a studio. That's exactly what I said last night, and I agree with you. Field McConnell was doing fine. He was making boatloads of money. He had a huge following, and he was having a gay old time. Randy Erickson and Tim Holseth walked into the picture, and within a matter of a couple, 3 months, it was gone. Field McConnell's not on the air. He cannot go on the air. His followers are gone. And the only ones that are supporting Field McConnell right now is Kirk Pendergrass, Dr. Goodbyes, Tim, Randy, and a few other people. You know, Field McConnell is screwed big time. And, you know, Field McConnell, I disagree with him. I think what he talks about is nuts. But I don't have a dog in the hunt. I don't care, personally, don't care what happens to Field McConnell. If Field McConnell were to go to trial, come out of this incident, not guilty, by the jury, oh well. It's another Casey Anthony. The guy walked. It happens every day in court. People that have a mountain of evidence, you have something called jury nullification, out he goes. So, well, I don't listen to or watch Kirk Pendergrass. I have no interest in what he has to say. Now, if he's losing his moderators, maybe these people have decided, look, this isn't my cup of tea, and they just went by and they went on to better, greener pastures. It's hard to say. If it gets small enough, then Kirk Pendergrass can run his chat. He could get in there with his own little wrench or whatever they do over there and do his thing. Well, I appreciate that, because it was your click and a couple of the others that turned me on to what happened here. Randy is poison for any cause celeb. So if you see her coming to your cause, run. She'll fuck up everything up for you. And this is advice given to me by a third party in Twitter right now. So I got into this last night, Pete. Timothy Charles Holmseth is out for him and only him. He will turn on you if you are his best friend. He did it with Chad Cater. Chad Cater was his best friend. Chad Cater risked going to jail to help Timothy out. Chad Cater allegedly aided and abetted a fugitive from justice. If the judge in that county got pissed off enough, Chad Cater would have gone to jail. And what happened? Because of a claim that Randy Erickson allegedly made about Chad Cater, Tim Homseth not only threw him under the bus, he was the driver that ran over him. He destroyed Chad's reputation. And so that shows you what Timmy is capable of. He will turn on his best friends on a dime. And unfortunately for Timmy, Randy will do the same thing. If it ever comes a day where Tim Homseth is more of a liability than an asset, she will abandon him in a heartbeat. So neither one of those two should be secure, because they would betray each other in a heartbeat. And I think in a way, I think Randy realizes it. I don't think Timmy realizes it, but I think Randy does. That, when the money goes dry, Randy will move on, because she is for attention. She's for the money. It's like the song says, you got to get paid. And so Randy is going to, she's a business person. She's going to see that there is no return on the investment, out the window. They're both, now they're both sovereigns in a way. This whole thing with what they talk about with the court is this path to sovereign citizens. Kirk Pendergrass, Chris Hallett, Field McConnell, so on. They're all those sovereign people. And that's the only glue that held these people together. But the stronger glue that held everybody together was money. And right now, there's a temporary support of Field McConnell. But that support is going to go away once people realize that there's no return on the return. So, right now we wait. We're going to wait until September 13th, and we're going to see where all this goes. Because again, if Kirk Pendergrass, if Field McConnell pleads Nolo Con to this charge, it's still a guilty plea. All it's saying is he doesn't contest the charge. He's not going to fight. He's going to say, Judge, you decide. And the judge will decide 99% of the time that you're guilty, dude, and this is what we're going to do about it. So it's not going to help Field all that much. It's basically going to say my jury trial. He has probably been told by his lawyer that he cannot afford to go to jury because he'd probably be found guilty. And so the white flag has been raised by the defense. They've gone to the prosecution and to Kim and said, is there something we can work out to end this? And Kim probably said, yeah, you do A, you do B, you do C, you do D. And these are the conditions under which I will allow Field McConnell to change his plea. Period. This is a victim case. Kim Picasio is the victim here. And she, being a lawyer, she knows how to get her way. And so the defense lawyer, being an experienced lawyer, been to court 100 times, knows that if Field McConnell were to go to trial, he would be found guilty in a heartbeat. And he's probably told Field this. He says, look, Field, this is, from what I see here, you stand a very good chance of going to jail. You stand a very good chance of being found guilty. I would suggest that you let me talk to the prosecution and see if we can work something out. I would suggest that you allow me to talk to Kim Picasio and see if there's something we could work out. And the defense lawyer probably started making phone calls to the prosecution, say, how can we put an end to this? What can we do to satisfy Kim Picasio and resolve the matter? The prosecution more than likely went to Kim Picasio and said, look, they're talking about wanting to go with a change of plea. What will you accept as a victim from Field McConnell that would allow me to accept this plea bargain? And so everybody had a big negotiation. Some kind of deal was worked out, some agreement that there would be a plea. And this is where we're at right now. We do not know what the plea is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be a Nolo Con. We don't know if it's going to be a guilty plea. But if it's a Nolo Con, it doesn't make any difference. It's not a not guilty plea. It is a no contest, no dispute. I am not going to fight the court on this. Whatever you say, Judge, I'll accept. And the judge is going to say again, he's going to say, look, I have read briefs from the defense and the prosecution, plus a statement if there was one. That's prosecution, by the way. I have read from the defense, from the prosecution, and possibly from Kim Picasio as to how this is going to go and what has been agreed to. And this is my decision, and his decision is going to be based on all of this. And he may add on a few things of his own, or he may say, we need to work on a few things here that I don't agree with. But that will have been worked out in advance. Whatever agreement is on the table that everybody knows about, that's what they're going to go with. So, it's all I can say is wait. Let's wait until the 13th and see how all this is going to work out, because that's all we can do. We could sit here and do this armchair speculation for the next 2 or 3 weeks, but it's not going to change anything. Whatever has been put on the table is what's going to be before the judge. The only thing that could put a wrench in the works is if Kim Picasio or the prosecution or the judge gets pissed off at what Kirk Pendergrass is saying out there. Because again, nobody likes private agreements to be in the spotlight. That stuff is supposed to be held in camera until, I don't know if that's the right term, but it's supposed to be held in confidence until the hearing. And then once this gets in the public record, everybody can say, oh, this is what happened. And then we'll know for sure. If there's any statements out there made by the defendant or the victim in the case, we'll know. But we don't know that right now. We know nothing right now. We don't know of any conditions that Kim Picasio set down for allowing Field McConnell to make this plea change. We don't know if he's doing a Nolo Con or guilty. We just know that he's changing his plea. And that's the only two ways they can go. And Nolo Con is a lesser of two evils, but it is still a guilty charge. Because I don't see the judge saying, all right, I've looked this over, Mr. McConnell, you're not guilty. I'm going to set you free. It's not there. There is too much evidence that was beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty of these charges. That's why the plea negotiation took place in the first place. It's because the defense recognized that Field McConnell is screwed, and he said, you better go to Kim Picasio and beg for mercy. And for whatever reason, it is likely that Kim Picasio has agreed to something. But she's a tough negotiator, so I doubt it's a slap on the wrist. I think he's gonna wind up getting his ass kicked on the 13th of September. So I am sure that all these people over there on Kirk's Law and on these other people can sit there and say, oh, no, this is what's going to happen. Nope. Kirk Prendergast knows nothing. He got Tim Homseth into more trouble because it was likely him that told Tim to walk. And between Randy Erickson and Kirk Prendergast, it is my opinion that one or both of these people told Tim Homseth to walk out. And I think Field McConnell knew it because Glow put up a video that was the entire visit that Field McConnell made to the court the day that Tim Homseth was supposed to be on trial. And if you listen to Field McConnell in the first portion of that recording, then you know that someone told Timmy to leave, that it was a kangaroo court, it was not a legitimate court, blah, 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 blah. You need to walk out of that courtroom and don't come back. And he didn't even go to the courtroom. He just didn't show up. Well, that may be what happens. That's my opinion, John. But again, we aren't going to know for absolute certain what's going to happen until the hearing. That was my guess as well, as there would be a period that he's going to get time served, he's going to get probation, and he's going to be probably banned from the internet. He's probably going to have to, matter of fact, he's definitely going to have to abide by the rules set forth in the original restraining order. Because the reason he's in the Florida court is he violated that order and engaged in felony stalking. And so that is going to be, like my opinion and yours, that he's going to get a couple of years probation. He's going to be told to abide by the conditions of the restraining order, leave Kim alone, don't talk about Kim, and just go on with your life. And as far as being banned from the internet for life, that one's, I don't know. I would think that after under probation, he might be banned from the internet. But I think after 2 years, he say, okay, you can go on the internet, but you can't talk about Kim Picasio. I think that's where that'll go. But we'll see who's right about that. I got a bet with Kathy. I got to look up on the chat and see what the bet's about, because I got to save $20 in case I got to pay her off. Because there's no one. Now, remember, I covered the Casey Anthony case, and I blew that one. All right, I thought she was going to be guilty, that she wasn't going to see the light of day, and they acquitted her. The court is weird. They come up with these dumb things, and the jury said no. Well, it's in the, Laurie, it's in the chat. It's in the chat. And I'm going to look it up, because if I'm wrong, I'll pay her the $20. Because, Field may have told her about this, but I don't think Kathy understands what a no contest is. It's not a not guilty plea. So, I just am going to wait, and I'm going to see what happens. I don't welsh on a bet, so we'll see what happens. Hello, Silona. Welcome back. Um, Now, it. Well, fireman, Kathy's got strong opinions, and I believe she's wrong in a lot of things that she puts out there. Um, I wish that she would think again about what I advised last night, but that's up to her. Um, you know, I I just am going to wait, and I'm going to see what happens with Field and see uh, what is going to be laid down by the judge in that case. That's all anybody can do. We can sit here and guess all kinds of things, and uh, let's see, why is this not showing up in my? Well, Golden Mare. Oh, there it is. Um, yeah, you're right. The main thing that a Nolo Contendere does is it protects the defendant in the event of a lawsuit. It's more difficult to get a case before a civil court if the Nolo Contendere has come down because the evidence can't be used. However, if Field McConnell again violates the restraining order, then it goes out the window. That's going to be part of his probation anyway, more than likely, is that he has to leave Kim Picasio alone. He can't mention her. There's not going to be any more of this severed head on the internet anymore. There's not going to be any more talk of Gitmo or any of that. He cannot talk about Kim Picasio, period. Why is, come on, I gotta wait until this shows up. Because what's funny is my monitor of the chat is beating out my, because I wanted to show that. But I'm going to answer your question, Solana. He would have been facing 2 or 3 years in state prison and probation and a fine. But I think what is going to happen now is, my guess is that he will get time served and he will get a certain amount of probation, and he is going to be told to abide by the restraining order, which is what got him into trouble in the first place. He cannot violate the restraining order. That is a permanent lifetime restraining order. There's no time limit. He has to leave Kim Picasio alone, period. And then, in the end, that'd be a smart thing for him to do, is just to leave her alone, get as much distance as he can between himself, Tim Holmseth, and Randy Erickson, and these other people. If he's ever allowed back on the internet, he needs to concentrate on what he was doing before he met Tim Holmseth. Well, Field may go to the state, federal authorities and say, I know this about Tim Holmseth. This is what Tim Holmseth has done. This is what I think you should do. And Field McConnell still has a lot of connections. So if he gets mad at Tim Holmseth and or Randy Erickson and or Kirk Pendergrass, there's going to be hell to pay. I think that's one of the reasons that they are pretending to be friends with Field McConnell, because they do not want to get Field McConnell pissed off. If he is pissed off, they want to nullify him. Mollify him, it's called. They want to reel him in pretend to be their best buddies again, and they think he's a hero, and they're going to shower him with all kinds of compliments so that he won't go after their ass. And they may or may not succeed. It depends. It depends on what happens in September. Because if the conditions are so bad for Field McConnell that he gets pissed off, I wouldn't want to be any of those people. Because he's going to rain down the wrath of God on those people. Because, he's going to find that he was made a fool of when he went to jail. Everybody went in the other direction. He's put his son into armpits and debt because his son is the one that had to pay all the bills. I don't know if there's going to be any repayment scheduled to pay the son back for the legal charges. His son's out a shitload of money. Yes, Field McConnell does have a temper. That's what got him into this mess in the first place. He blew up, literally, on his show. And, Kim Bacasio is not the only one he went after. He went after his own sister. And he wants her in Gitmo because she dared work with Hillary Clinton. And it's alleged that Field McConnell made a threat against a bank officer that had to do with his mortgage. So, yes, he does have a serious temper. And that's what Tim and Randy and Kirk need to be aware of. Because if he blows his cool, these people are going to have a target on their back. And Field McConnell is not going to be happy in September. He may have decided, I got to go along with this. But when he's sitting in his living room after all this is over and he reviews everything that he said in that courtroom and the condition the judge put forward and everything that he has to do now in order to stay out of jail, he's going to be pissed. And that I do not want to be around when that happens. Because he's going to look, when he's going to go through this proceeding on the 13th, and he's going to be kind of like in a fog if he shows up in court. They could, because of there's rumors that certain things might happen to where he's not even in court. That's something I'm waiting to find out. But, so in court, he's just going to go to court. He's going to get this behind him. And then when he's sitting in his living room out in the woods up there, and it sinks into what he's lost, and maybe he starts getting feedback from his friends that are on the internet that come to him and say, this is what happened, Field. This is, people are reacting, that, they're, the people that are against you are making a big deal out of this. He is going to get madder and madder and madder because he's going to be humiliated by his enemies. They're going to say that liberal bitch, and I hope I don't get sanctioned for that, down in Florida beat my ass. That is not. Solana, his house is about 3 miles outside the very small town of Plum City, Wisconsin. It's an estate. It's surrounded by trees and also surrounded by corn, acres and acres and acres of corn. In order to get to the house itself, that you go up this highway, you turn right into the property, and you go on this long wandering road to his house. You cannot be seen from the road at all. The only pictures you have of the house is a real estate offering of before he bought the house. And if you go on Google and Google the address, you're going to see that the house is in the middle of a forest. So yeah, he lives in the woods. He's very, very, very private. And he doesn't even have internet access at the house. That's why I had the studio in downtown Plum City in the old bank, is so he could have internet access. And he was about a 10-minute drive from his house. Yes, Solana. Randy is the woman that Levi said was having an affair with Homestead. That's, again, that's speculation. There's no proof of that. It's just kind of logical. Because, according to the husband, they're separated and she hasn't been in the house in a year. So that's a possibility that they're having an affair. And Levi said it. And a number of people have said it, and I believe it. I don't have any proof, but I believe it because it just makes sense. There is there's a very close connection. I have people telling me that the two of them are traveling together and that 95% of the stuff on the internet is of her writing. Kathy said that she was the one that introduced Tim Holmseth to Field McConnell, and Randy has stated that she is the one that introduced Timmy to Field McConnell. So there's a she said there. Now what is funny there, John, is that in the lawsuit that they threatened against me for $1 million, they used Tim and Randy Holmseth in the complaint. Now, in order for that complaint to be valid, if they use Timothy and Randy Holmseth in the complaint, they are going to have to provide documentation that Randy Erickson is legally Randy Holmseth. Either she's changed her name or they have gotten married, which is going to be interesting considering oh, hi, Chad. Jerry Coate. The name sounds familiar, but my memory sucks. So I have no idea what Jerry would have sent or who he is. Chad. You would have to enlighten us on who Jerry Coate is and what his relationship is with Timmy. The name sounds familiar. I just don't know what it's about. And it would take me forever to try and find it because I don't have my database set up to do terminology searches and name searches and that sort of thing. I'm not very good at that. So if you could enlighten us as to who this person is, it would be appreciated. Good evening, Levi. Welcome to the chat. I don't know when you came in, but we're going over the claim by Kirk Pendergrass that Field McConnell's going to enter a no contest plea on the 13th. Too bad it wasn't Friday the 13th, but it's Monday the 13th. Boy, I switched out chairs, and that wasn't such a good thing, but I'll have to live with it. Well, Chad, that's not a bright thing to be putting into the court. That's a veiled threat. And, I would like to know what court that was put into so I can get a FOIA on that, because I'd love to read that. Because that would, I don't know what he filed it under, because there's no case right now except for the one that Tim Holmes says has got a warrant out. But that, something Is this uh, is this guy the one that raised a ruckus at a Walmart because he didn't want to wear a mask or something? It's that name rings a bell. Oh, hi Tom. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, this Tom Morrissey's another one that Tim Homseth screwed over. Well, Tom, what they do is it's what the court and law enforcement sees it. You know, that guy may have put himself in a big, serious predicament because if he has made a threat and the court sees it as a threat, this guy's going to wind up in jail. At the very minimum, he's going to wind up having an interview in front of somebody explaining what he means by whatever was written in there. Words mean things. And if the judge gets concerned enough, he'll forward it to law enforcement for them to work it out. So this is going to be, I need to know what court that was filed in so we can get a request for information on under the, FOIA, Freedom of Information. So, I would like to know either the case or the court. I need to know what court what filing was in. It was through a contact form for the court. I have to know which court. Is it Polk County, Minnesota, where Tim used to live, or is there another court that he sent it to? So that's what I need to know. I need to know where this thing was filed, because if it's a contact form or anything else, it's going to be in the public record. Well, if it is, it is. The guy's made the claim, John, and we have to see if this guy actually made the claim. This is why I want to know where this form went, because I can call the court, say I want a public, I'm making a public records request. And okay, so it is Polk County. All right, because what I'll do is I will call Polk County Monday and ask them if there has been a filing by that individual of any kind, contact form, friend of the court brief, or what have you. And so, if this guy sent something to the court, it's public information, and we'll find out about it. And this guy better hope to God he didn't say something to piss off that judge or whoever reads that thing. Oh, you have it? Chad, if you would, could you get me a copy of it? I'd appreciate it. Because I want to see exactly what this guy said. Because if he sent it to Tim, it probably did not get forwarded to the court. But wherever it came from, he sent it to you. So you're authorized to open the mail. Fireman, you can print out a contact form. If he filled out a form, he can print it out and send them the printout. So I would, that's what I'll do is once I get the form, I will contact the Polk County Court on Monday, this being a Saturday night and Sunday. I'm not going to be able to do anything. But Monday, when I land, I will call Polk County And fireman, a long time ago, Tim Holmseth authorized his mail to come to Chad Cater. The original warrant that I have a copy of actually has Chad Cater's post office box on it. And for whatever reason, instead of this guy sending the letter to Tim to the Elk River post office box that Tim has, he sent it to Chad Cater. So that means that this guy does not realize that Chad Cater is no longer affiliated with Tim Holmseth. But, Chad Cater was a power of attorney for Tim Holmseth, and unless Tim made a formal filing withdrawing that power of attorney, then Chad Cater technically still has power of attorney to intercept and read mail sent to that post office box. So I would appreciate getting a copy of that, Chad, and then I'll follow through on it, because I'm in regular contact with Polk County in case something changes up there. Because I've talked to the clerk of the court up there a number of times about whether or not Tim Holmseth has been found, or if anything has happened as far as the status of that warrant. And talked to them about 3 or 4 months ago. It was the last time I talked to the court to make sure that Tim Holmseth still had a warrant for his arrest, and he does. It's a permanent warrant. 20 years from now, if he gets pulled over in Minnesota and they have a warrant for his arrest, he will be shipped back to Polk County. So there's none of this 12-mile radius bullshit. It's a statewide warrant. Well, we'll see what happens. He may have came in long enough to say that and then left. But if Chad has the letter, then I will see it. Well, it's your, you are still holding the post office box, and any mail that comes to you is yours. And you could always, after you make a copy of it, ship it off to Randy, I guess. Because it wasn't a deliberate act, and it's public information anyway. Because I'm going to find out about it. Because I can at least, with the man's information, with his name, I can call the court and find out what the deal is. And ask them why, if this is a threatening mail. Well, I'll let Chad handle that. Answer that, fireman. But it basically, Randy talked to me into rescinding it. Yeah, because they, last known address, they're going to send, they'll send anything to a last known address. And then, It's up to the party to determine what they're going to do with the mail. They can either rip it up and throw it in the trash can, or they can forward it, or they can say return to sender. Now you can always find it up and send it and return it to sender after you make a copy for me. But Tom, I told the story before, and I even interviewed Chad on my show a long time ago. And I think, Rebecca, I think we have all done it at one time or another. I'm still getting mail from the person that used to live in this mobile home. It's weird. And I just do a return to sender. I probably even see his name on the envelope. I just do a return to sender and throw it in the mailbox. Um, yeah. Well, Randy Fireman, John, is his power of attorney. Uh, okay, I got my email open. Gmail sucks. It may take a while for it to come through. Okay, it's not there. Okay, I got two of these open, so I'm going to close one. Okay, nothing yet. It's this Gmail and is. I'm going to go through. I got to empty my trash. That might be part of the problem. All right, nothing there. Facebook. Okay, well, let me go to Facebook. Okay, yeah, we got it. Okay, come on, Facebook. Nothing. Yeah, I haven't got anything on Facebook yet. This Facebook is being stubborn. Okay, let's see. I have nothing on Facebook yet. And this Facebook Messenger on my Facebook is acting up. Cause I got. Okay, why? I haven't got it yet, John. His name's not popping up in my messenger. I'm gonna try something. I'll be right back. I'm gonna try something different. Cut that out. Okay, for whatever reason, I thought it might have been better to send it to my Gmail. Let me see what we have here. Because my computer, oh, here we go. It's on my phone. Please find. Okay, he sent it to you in care of you, so you have a right to. Okay, Crookston, so I'll be able to pull up a POI on this. All right, this is the message that Chad got. Oh, that's fine, Chad. For some reason, that's not coming up on my show computer. I had to get my phone. Biden is a ghost. Military is in charge. Justice is coming. Both the child traffickers and their protectors within the system will be tried, convicted, and in any case related to the abuse of children with a D, the guy doesn't know how to spell, executed. If you think I'm wrong and you can safely act to protect the abusers, you are not paying attention. Think seriously how you handle Mr. Holmes's case. Let's see. There is a case number here. Let me go back a page. Filed in district court. There is a phone number on here, but I'm not going to read it. Okay, court file number 60-18-2074. Case type criminal / TRAF mandatory. So that gives me the information, and it came from Polk County Administration. So I can call her because I've spoken to this woman before. So it's in the public record. And let me see. This is a 973 area code. Well, they're going to take one look at that letter and disregard it anyway because it's a sovereign thing. But the body of the letter actually has a threat in it, and but Chad, that's my email address, so you can send that to me in an email if you wish. But I've got it on my phone right now, and I can. This has personal information in it, so I can't put it up. I'd have to redact all this because it's got his email address, his name, and his cell phone number. And the subject that's required, knowledge of Timothy Holmseth, now common among patriots. So let's see. Let me do this. Because I can crop this. I sent you a Facebook with my Gmail on it so you can have it in your files. But I'm going to go back here now and process this image. I got a convoluted way of doing this because it came through on my phone. Let me see. I'm going to go into, see if I can get back into Facebook for some reason, the computer is not cooperating. My phone, it works fine, but it doesn't work. Oh, here it goes. I got it. That's good. That's good. Okay, save image. No, I'm not going to put it up. I did crop the telephone number and everything out of it, but I'm not going to put it up. But I've got the copies now on my computer, so I can deal with it. Well, what I'll do, Chad, is I will get it directly from the court. YouTube has a rule about telephone numbers, email addresses, and that sort of thing. I could put the letter up after I redact the personal information, because that part would get through YouTube rules. And it's also, once I get a copy from the court that's certified by the court, then I can put it up. So I will get that from the court. It was filed with the court on the 19th. It's got the stamp on there. And it will be in the court record. I will simply get a copy of it. And sometime next week, I will put it up. But I've already read it. It's pretty cut and dry. The guy is basically a cheerleader for Tim Holmesa. And I want to check something. Let me go back in here. So what I can do is okay, the area code is out of New Jersey. It's out of Northwest New Jersey, I believe. And but it says 973 is Newark, Patterson, Clifton, Passaic, and East Orange, New Jersey. So I'm very familiar with that area. I think Columbia, New Jersey is pretty close to there. So, but it's not him, Laurie. This is somebody else. Because unless he's running around creating out-of-town telephone numbers on a court document, which is not an advisable thing to do, then this is somebody else. Yeah, and I don't know if it's somebody Chad knows or it's just a name, but that's that. But I've got enough information that I can work with Monday to call the court and get a copy of this letter through the courts. But, it's, yeah, I'm not going to show it. Um, but it's a bad move on his part. You don't, yeah, that's very serious wording. I don't know why the clerk didn't catch it, but but I have someone that might be able to do something about it. And so, yeah, you're right there, Solana. But I've completely cut this guy off. He better not attempt to contact me or I'm pressing charges because he's been given due notice. All right, Chad, thank you for coming in. You have a good night. Work hard, make lots of money, stay safe, and all that happy stuff. Feel free to come in anytime and say hello. But the only other thing, Tom, thank you for coming in. You have a good night. Same thing goes for you. Work hard, make lots of money, stay safe out there. Check back in. You're always welcome. If you haven't done so already, like and subscribe. All that happy stuff. Might as well do a little self promoting here. Let's see. Do my usual end of show check to see if anything's changed on any of these cases. Because this. Sometimes, even though I checked yesterday, some of these have a delay of getting on. No, we're still the same. As far as Field McConnell, and again, bringing up the paperwork, 9 13 2021, room 5780, 9:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. And official court notice. And there's another copy here. Let me go back. Okay, yeah, I didn't do it right. And it says hearing/change of plea. And the judge is N. Hunter Davis. Time is 9 o'clock in the morning. Blah, 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 blah. And it says defendant notified, Field McConnell, attorney, Howard Son, bond company, the bail bond firm in the state of Florida. And so that's everybody that was notified. God, they use strange colors in this stuff. So that's the latest from that, because that was filed on the 13th. And just for shits and giggles, we'll check Neely Blanchard once again. I don't think there's been any changes in any of these cases. see if I can find this. Oh, wrong one. Because what I'm going to do is I'm double checking just to see. Yeah. Shit, man. There we go. This is what I wanted. There's two ways of doing this. Here we go to Marion County. Public. Yeah, please hit the thumbs up. That helps. Well, that's what I'm here for. Okay, let's see what's going on with Blanchard. Because I doubt there's much going on. Okay, the 8/23 2021 submission, this is a new one, is locked for the moment. They locked these for a while, and it's an amended motion to continue defendants indicia for the purpose of costs only. This is still the expert witness. There's 7 pages, but it's being redacted for the time being, and I have put in a request that once this thing is opened, that I will have access to it. Now, this goes back to what I reported last night, and it's a psychiatrist by the name of Kopp. He's a PhD, and he's an expert on insanity pleas for the defense. And even though friends and family of Neely Blanchard have donated money to her, the defense is running out of money, and they cannot afford to pay for this expert witness. So they are asking for the court to let the taxpayers pay for this expert witness. So, that's that. And so that's where we stand tonight. I'm going to be curious to see what happens on the 13th, and to see if, because of Kirk Pendergrass blabbing about being absolutely positively certain that Field McConnell is going to plead no contest, that either the prosecution, the judge, or Kim Picazio, perhaps all the above, are going to get pissed off and say the deal is off. So if something screws up Field McConnell's deal, we can guarantee that he is going to realize it's Kirk Pendergrass that may have done it for him. Because these things are supposed to be private. You're not supposed to talk about them. It's confidential information, and in some cases there could even be prosecution, because the judge may want to know how the hell this information got out to the public and how Kirk Pendergrass came into this knowledge. So, somebody might be in trouble, because if somebody told Kirk Pendergrass the details of this plea deal, they may be in trouble. The courts frown on this sort of thing. And so We're going to have to stay tuned for that to see what happens. Okay, I've been on the air for an hour and 51 minutes. I think I've said all I can say. I can't think of anything else. I'm going to be watching the internet to see if anything else comes up that's interesting. I'm going to make one, if the computer cooperates, I'm going to make one last check to see if there's anything new. I'm going to have to do it this way. Boy, they don't write in that blog very much. Here's what President Trump knows about attorney Kim Al-Pacasio. Now, there is no way in hell that Donald Trump knows anything about this stuff. Let's see. Yesterday, someone using the name of K. Picasio went online and was conversing with William K. Murtaugh during his YouTube live. Back and forth with exchanges shows that it was WASM, in fact, attorney Picasio. Murtaugh's channel is an online meeting forum for NXIVM /CIA finders. Kim Picasio was asked about her child trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein. Observe. Now, this tells you that those people monitor and record every second of this live stream. Every single second. The following video shows that Donald Trump knows about attorney Kim Al-Pacasio and Craig Sawyer. And the video is let's see, let's go through this nonsense. September, he uses this stupid typewriter thing, 22nd, 2019, a month before he was slapped with a restraining order. I'm not going to play the audio of this. Everybody has this. This has been running around lately. And then we have picture of Field McConnell's mugshot, picture of Kirk Pendergrass saying that the following video will show why Field McConnell was kidnapped under color of law. It is because of the book he held up. No, it's because he threatened the life of Kim Picasio, and he wasn't kidnapped. He was lawfully arrested. And something else Tim Homestead does here. There's a guy by the name of Bob Hannemer, who's very famous and is actually fighting trafficking and pedophiles, which is something that Tim Homestead is not doing. And he is saying that this Bob Hammer is Jeremy John Regan, R-E-G-A-N. And no, he is not. Number one, John Regan is dead. He's been dead for almost a decade. The only reason Tim Homestead attacks him is because he is the father of Jeremiah Regan. Now, why this dead guy comes under attack by Tim Homestead is beyond me. But this is who Tim Homestead is. Actually, Solana, Kim was in here last night. But I've checked. I've got the obituary of Mr. Regan. He died in 2010. He was a minister. As you can see, he has a collar. I don't have the picture up. But if you were to go over to that goofy channel, 6 people have already put a thumbs down on it. But Tim Homestead has got John Regan being this Bob Hammer guy. Bob Hammer is a retired FBI agent. He has a bunch of books for sale on Amazon. You can Google this guy. And Tim is pulling stuff out of his ass like he always does. And I like the question this website asks. Yeah, you're right. That's all he wants is attention. He doesn't care if it's good attention or bad attention. He just wants attention. And the funny thing is, now one thing I've noticed is his numbers are way down, but they turned off the comments. So he's not getting attention because nobody can comment on these videos. And it's all about interactivity. Well, I don't know. I might be wrong. It might be Thursday. I thought it was last night, but my memory sucks. But I know it was a marathon. We were on for over 4 hours. It bled over into Friday. It just bled over. My mind is a mushroom right now. But he gets everything wrong. But Donald Trump doesn't know squat. He doesn't know any of these people. He's not associated with he's calling Lieutenant Colonel Rory Potter a liar. He's calling him a CIA lying scum. This is the same guy that claims to be an FBI witness. And yes, there is a private group that has a reward out for the arrest of Timothy Charles Homestead. That is not a lie. The book Field McConnell held up is no ordinary book. It holds the key to the largest human trafficking and human harvesting operation in the history of mankind, operated by rogue U.S. military Department of Energy in China. The Department of Energy? In 2011, the CIA used a family court judge to stop the author from selling the book under threat of imprisonment. Ugh. What a nut. And we got all kinds of stuff we can't read. Got something with Ericsson's name on it. That'll be interesting. 2020 Ericsson. I'll have to look there. I've got this. I'll have to look into my records. President Trump's wife and Special Joint Operations Command found out what the book contained. No, they didn't, because nobody reads it. It was a seemingly innocuous photograph that would change the history of mankind. The implications of the photo dwarf Hiroshima in comparison. There were no words that can capture the horror hidden in the photo, except to say Jesus comes soon. Here is, and the picture is of Jeremiah Regan, his father John Regan, Leanne Kruger, and Crystal Sheffield. And, it's the same bullshit. I mean, and he's saying, oh, the book is hidden, the book is pinned. He's even got the pages of the book up there. I mean, I have a copy of the book. I've got 2 copies. And so all this stuff is out there. Nothing is hidden. But this, people believe this stuff because they're running around. It's the same people believe this stuff that go around taking horse medicine and taking bleach that they are hawking. So there's nothing there. It's fantasy. None of it's true. Timmy claims that the vice president of the United States wanted to assassinate him, and it took 6 Navy SEALs to ward off the attack. And then he turned around and begged for money to pay the 6 Navy SEAL bodyguards. And guess what? Craig Sawyer is a former Navy SEAL. So, yeah, this guy just talks out of both sides of his mouth. He's saying the CIA is corrupt. He says the FBI is corrupt, even though he is an FBI informant. They have said it, he claims that they said he was a credible witness, yet he says the FBI is corrupt. The guy can't make up his mind. And, jeez. They're running around giving. They aren't even selling the book. They're giving it away. In every single solitary page of that book has been put up on the internet. By any number of people. You can get access to every single solitary page to the book. The book is not hidden. Randy has published every page of the book, and she's even said she has. She says she owns all the copies of the book. She's the one, along with Timmy, that are running around the country giving it away. So this talk of him being kidnapped and not being able to do that is bullshit. He engaged in defamation and slander, and that's why the book was pulled. Yeah, you must not have been around for that one. This is I'd have to look back, but over on his blog, Larry, he published. Let me. This was. Let me go back to. Because 21. It's because it was somewhere December of 2019. Let's see. U.S. Marine POW. That's about field. Pierce County intercepts documents. Ukrainian baby sales. Truth about Jacob Waterling. This December 22nd, 2019, he barged into the Waterling case. Oh, this is an interesting one. Let me pull up the Field McConnell update. Timothy Charles Holmseth on December 18th, 2019 at 8:46 p.m. published the following. There is an ongoing misconception that Kirk Pendergrass and Chris Hallett, eClause LLC, are representing Field McConnell. This is not correct. eClause does not have any power of attorney for Field McConnell and has filed no documents with any court on Field's behalf. eClause is auditing Pierce County for annulments violation and bad actors in government. However, the actions taken behind the scenes to Field McConnell are being executed by members of a task force whose names you never hear of for serious security reasons. I mangled that one. Several areas regarding Field are being addressed. One is securing Field's release from imprisonment. Those efforts are being executed and orchestrated by very high-level agents of a task force. Another area being addressed is the attempted seizure of Field's home and property by the corrupt government, which is also being fought by upper-level task force and a personal agent secured by Field, not eClause. I am present in the war room. I am the reporter for the task force. I am on the board of directors for the recently incorporated Children's Crusade. No affiliation with eClause, and was appointed that position by Field himself. There are a lot of moving parts to clarify these matters. will help avoid confusion. What is occurring behind the scenes is a battle and involves the expertise of task force members at very high levels who do not appear on radio shows. Believe in me, I'm with the high command. Timothy Charles Holmes said. Now, this was in December 18th, 2019. Field McConnell is under house arrest at his home wearing a GPS monitor. He is scheduled to appear in court on the 13th of September to plead no contest to charges resulting from his violating the court order and making death threats against Kim Bacasio. So that task force didn't do shit. Diocese of Crookston pedophile priest scandal still haunts investigative journalists. This is what Timothy did to get back at Chad and Tom for quote unquote turning on him. This is how Tim Homestead treats his friends. And let me go back. Americans are requesting Wisconsin governor release Marine Field McConnell, request made for investigation into torture room producer. And it was the governor of Wisconsin that signed the extradition order to send Field McConnell to Florida, so that didn't work out. The Epstein of the internet, who's been making blah. Wonder who that is. Field McConnell tells Wisconsin court he's been kidnapped. Pentagon Pedophile Task Force agent advises Pierce County Sheriff Phantom case doesn't exist in Florida. Yes, it does. And Field McConnell wound up down there. Because I'm going backwards. You know, all this stuff that Tim Homestead wrote turned in. And he barges into the John Benet Ramsey case with this headline in December 2019. John Benet Ramsey murder evidence sealed under national security. This U.S. military to take out blackmail operation against Congress and executives. That kind of crap he writes. This is December of 2019. It was January of 2020 that they started getting into that. I'm going into these archives backwards because the latest thing in 2019 was U.S. Marine POW on American soil. This is where they get into this barge on a dry dock crap. And Timothy Charles Homestead trademark reports infiltrated the finders Epstein, Joe Sack, one man away from President Trump, now former president. And none of this, the finders, Epstein, was mentioned in the book. Not one word. And I'll tell you, that's a hard book to read. He's very disorganized writer. Categories, court, COVID-19, E-clause. Let's look at what he says about E-clause. Let's go down to starts writing about E-clause December 5th, 2019. This is when Kirk Pendergrass came to Plum City. Or actually, and President Trump requests to renew videotaped interviews of CPS kidnapping victims. Wisconsin publisher arrested before interviews could be conducted. Breaking, someone altered a federal court record in an effort to discredit the Pentagon pedophile task force. And this publisher provided links to a federal court case that does not, which Homeseth versus the city of HOUS. The federal case document was altered. See, he makes that claim. He says any court records out there that put him in a bad light are altered. Kidnapped U.S. Marine in Wisconsin request organizer of Pentagon pedophile task force asked Governor Ron DeSantis implement Operation Pharaoh PORCINE against child sex trafficking through Ukraine embassy in Washington. And that went nowhere. But Field McConnell tells Wisconsin court he's being kidnapped. Pentagon pedophile task force agent advises Pierce County. Yeah, we've already gone through that. And protecting myself. This is an interesting one. Protecting myself from E-Clause LLC. Timothy Charles Homeseth telephone Senator Lindsey Graham. I love this guy's stuff, man. He comes up with the weirdest stuff. It's important for legitimate law-abiding people to protect themselves and officially detach themselves from any perceived involvement with any individual or entity that may be engaging in illegal contact, such as fraud or anything else. I, Timothy Charles Homeseth, observed something was very wrong with E-Clause LLC Florida after I learned my Minnesota case had not been expunged, as E-Clause CEO Chris Hallett publicly stated on Facebook. Chris Hallett, CEO E-Clause LLC, announced the warrant issued for Timothy Homeseth no longer existed. They couldn't obtain a warrant without using Sharia law. The warrant and process were not lawful, so we had it expunged. And of course, that's wrong. And when he found out, he wasn't happy about it because he almost got caught. CEO publicly stated that he had my case expunged. However, I later learned from Russell J. Gould that my case was not expunged. Gould explained that my case in Polk County, Minnesota, fell under jurisdiction of 12 miles from the, quote, foreign vessel in dry dock, which most people believe is a courthouse. And Gould was wrong. Gould is an idiot. CEO Hallett also told me he learned from his high-level sources in U.S. Congress and or the Department of Justice that Minnesota admitted they had no standing to bring the charges against me, and that they did. When I asked Hallett for verification and documents, he ignored my telephone calls and then blocked my emails. Well, it's the state of Florida that brought the charges. The state of Minnesota prosecuted him for breaking it, is a agreement that's made in these cases. It's done all the time. E-Clause had effectively began using my Minnesota case as a marketing opportunity for E-Clause's image building and promotion, but refused to provide me any proof of their claims. Now, it's important to understand the word there, because E-Clause is Chris Hallett and Kirk Pendergrass. That's it. There's nobody else. Neely Blanchard was kind of a fan who promoted E-Claws, but it was Pendergrass and Pendergrass and Hallett that were E-Claws. On November 4th, 2019, Kirk Pendergrass went on Field McConnell's YouTube show, The Field Report, and announced that he, Pendergrass, had arrived in Wisconsin. He announced that he would be performing audits on behalf of E-Claws on bad actors in government in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Michigan. He also stated he would be doing interviews with victims of CPS abuse. And there's a YouTube he refers you to. And then we go on. Here is the true plan. Again, this is Tim Holmseth writing this. Kurt Pendergrass. Pendergrass is from Idaho. Travel expenses and tools were paid for by a private party via Randy Erickson that purchased him a car, a total of 2 computers, winter clothing for Wisconsin. Why he didn't have winter clothes for Idaho is interesting. Gas money and so forth to travel to Wisconsin, where he, Pendergrass, would execute a plan to do E-Claws audits in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and Michigan, as well as conduct CPS interviews, which were to be aired on the Field Report. Promises. In the summer of 2019, Pendergrass asked Erickson to buy him a house. She promptly said no. Why the hell does he need a house? He's already got one. At one point, Erickson had to tell Pendergrass no when he wanted Erickson to buy him a carton of cigarettes. Pendergrass admits publicly he told Field McConnell he would be living in McConnell's home, would take care of his dogs while McConnell went on Christmas vacation, and would be conducting multi-state audits for 4 to 6 months. That was also the agreement Pendergrass had with Erickson. Now, see, we're building up to the accusations here. After McConnell was arrested, Pendergrass and E-Claws proceeded to take over McConnell's show. The Field Report, which is a blatant violation of any fiduciary duty that existed between E-Claws and McConnell. It is illegal for E-Claws to gain or profit in any way from their fiduciary relationship with McConnell. E-Claws has no incentive to secure McConnell's release from prison because they are benefiting from McConnell's incarceration. Pendergrass was using McConnell's show to promote E-Claws and his own program called Kirk's Law Corner. Kirk's Law Corner was being simulcast through the Field Report, airing at the same time, which was causing Pendergrass's viewership to increase. So that's, why Randy is promoting Pendergrass is beyond me, because Tim Holmes made it clear that he didn't like Pendergrass at this time. Again, this is a little less than 2 years ago. Pendergrass attended 2 of McConnell's court hearings in Pierce County, Wisconsin, but skipped the 3rd hearing. He did nothing in Minnesota, Iowa, or Michigan. He did no CPS victim interviews. At least one CPS victim case was presented to Pendergrass, whom he promptly ignored. Pendergrass / E-Claws did almost nothing he was supposed to do per his contract with Erickson while hijacking McConnell's show and likely profiting off donations and harvested viewers. Pendergrass also boasted possible access to some kind of badge he claimed Chris Hallett could obtain from U.S. Congress or DOJ. I have never heard of such authority that can be created out of nowhere to grant arrest powers to a real estate agent license holder, Hallett, and convicted felon auto mechanic Pendergrass. Now, this is funny because this is exactly what he is claiming with the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force and the Joint Special Operations Command, that they report all this stuff to the government and the government runs around collecting, arresting people. And that Donald Trump, because of the information he has from Tim Homseth, is going to do all this arresting or people within the Pentagon. So he's went off the rails on this one. My bullshit ONDOMETER went crazy at these claims by Pendergrass. I don't know what a non-diameter is. I'll have to look that one up. To my knowledge, Pendergrass has never had any training regarding fiduciary responsibility and or agency law. I am also not aware that Pendergrass has errors and omissions insurance as required by most licenses authorized by the executive. Sean Hannity, Pendergrass connection to reality questioned. At one point, Pendergrass was presented with an opportunity to do an interview with Sarah Westall. Pendergrass said he wasn't doing interviews with anybody unless it was Sean Hannity. That was told to CEO Hallett by Erickson. Erickson is a licensed broker in Florida, and Hallett replied, "Oh God." Pendergrass exited Wisconsin in late December after only 6 weeks under cover of darkness, telling nobody. He took with him the vehicle purchased for his use as well as the computer. He left McConnell's dogs. When Randy Erickson confronted Pendergrass about the breach of contract that took place by Pendergrass/E-Clause, Pendergrass began to pathologically lie with seemingly sociopathic indifference. And he went back and forth with messages. There's a picture of the car that Pendergrass was given. He complained that the car was a piece of junk and he had to rebuild it and wound up buying another car. And he closes saying, "Yesterday I participated with Erickson in a telephone call with the office of Senator Lindsey Graham and a representative of the Senate Judiciary Committee, as well as a call to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. I have never been, and I am presently in no way connected or involved with any criminal conduct or future plans by E-Clause LLC." Now, something happened over these 2 years. And also, right after this article, or around the time of the article, Randy Erickson, Tim Homseth, the owner, I believe he goes by Eager Beaver, and producer of Field McConnell's show had some big argument because they wanted to, Randy wanted to have some guest on Field's show. And Eager Beaver said multiple times that he had been instructed by Field McConnell that no interviews were to be conducted on his show while he was incarcerated. And they argued and argued and argued, and the guy was madder than hell at Randy Erickson because she was barging in and basically controlling Tim Homseth. And and he was mad that this is being done, and it was being monitored and everything else. I mean, it was a big family fight. It's all over the internet. And all of a sudden, over the past few weeks, it's been kissy make up. These people are best friends again. Randy promotes Kirk Pendergrass's nonsense on Timmy's blog and also over on her own personal Facebook page, as well as um, they're one big happy family again. They kissed and made up. They decided not to get a divorce, and they're all happy, happy, happy. That's because there's money in all of this. Randy probably sees money in Kirk. Kirk sees money in Randy. And because of all the connections with all these people, now we have war castles getting in the middle of all this. I mean, it's collective weirdness. And and the thing of it is, for the most part, Field McConnell was shielded from all of this. He was, I don't know what's going on with this thing. He was out there in jail, couldn't communicate that well except through his lawyer and I think his wife at the time. Was not aware any of this is going on, and I still don't know if he's aware of it. But I think once this case is concluded in September and the dust settles, Field McConnell's going to be finding out a hell of a lot. And this is what I was trying to get through Kathy's head the other night. I was trying to get Kathy, I says, look, you need to go over and read Timmy's blog. You need to go over and look at these videos that they're making. You need to go back to December of 2019 and January of 2020 and see what Holmseth was writing in regards to Kirk Pendergrass, E-Claus, and Field McConnell. And see the big brouhaha that was going on at that house. And this is clear and absolute evidence that it was Tim Holmseth, Randy Erickson, Kirk Pendergrass, and Chris Hallett that caused Field McConnell to be in jail. Because number one, either Randy or Kathy introduced Timmy to Field McConnell. And along with Timmy came Kirk Pendergrass and Chris Hallett and Preacher Dan and all these other weirdos. And whatever motivated Field McConnell to go along with all this nonsense, all of a sudden he got his ass in quicksand by defaming and threatening Kim Bacasio. And he found out the hard way that she is no one to mess around with. And his life was turned upside down for almost 2 years. His son is up to his armpits in debt, paying legal fees, because apparently Field can't afford it. And now Field McConnell, when he goes to court in September, is going to have to pay, literally, for what he has done, all because of Tim Holmseth. And if Kathy would step back and see what's been done to her friend, because she's more of a friend of Field McConnell than she is of Timmy, she'd realize what damage has been done to Field McConnell. And if that happens, where Kathy and Field get together and have a nice long conversation, I would not want to be Kirk Pendergrass, Timothy Holmseth, Randy Erickson, and some other people when Field McConnell goes to town, because it's coming. And so this is what we wait for, folks. I just wanted to get that last bit in there because that article alone explains a lot about what happened. You have fun with the doggies, Lori. I'm going to sign off. I thank everybody for checking in. Please stay tuned, because as we go down the road, there's going to be more things come out as we get closer and closer to the Field's case and these other cases in the news, plus other things that are going on. It's going to be a real interesting end of the year and a real interesting beginning to 2012. Please like, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification button. Have a good rest of the week and have a good one. Burt Witness 1 signing off.